to go out and talk to stylists about themselves more. So it's won't be an interview about hair. It's going to be more about you and kind of the things we can do to motivate students to help get to the next level. Mm-hmm. So starting from that, give me your story of how you started in the industry. What motivated you to get going?
What motivated me to do hair? I'm a third generation hairstylist. My mother and my grandmother were hairdressers.
Okay.
So of course it's in my DNA.
Gotcha.
I come from a dynasty of hairstylists. But I'm going to be honest with you. When I first started going to beauty college, I was like, I'm going to work my way through fashion school by doing hair. So I'm going to get my cosmetology school because I also had dreams of being like the next Patrick Kelly, Willie Smith, black designer for fashion. And the minute I got into actually doing hair, which is my first few hair shows, I started falling in love with hair and realized that I can do some things from behind, not just be behind the chair. I knew I didn't want to just be behind the chair. I knew I wanted to expand myself, travel. Just didn't really know how yet, but I knew I wanted to do more. And when I started going to hair shows, I started seeing there's other things you can do as a hairstylist other than just, not to say there's anything wrong with doing hair behind the chair. That's great too because I love that as well.
Gotcha.
But I knew that I was gonna expand. My arms were gonna reach further than just behind the chair.
So did your folks kind of lean you in that direction? My dad was a barber, so it's like I spent so much time in the shop that it was almost like the last place I wanted to be. So it's interesting you say you wanted to get into it.
Well, I did. I wanted to get into it. I was a shampoo girl at 16. I worked with my mom in the salon. Mm-hmm. And I was going to beauty college at the same time. Went through the ROP program from high school.
Oh, okay.
And she kind of pushed me, but I thought I was going to be a fashion designer. So I was like, well, I'll do this so that I can kind of work my way through fashion school. Mm-hmm. But then I fell in love with doing hair. Gotcha. And I kind of let it. But I did see that I can be a designer of hairstyles and I can be a part of the fashion industry. So I still kind of got what I wanted, but just in a different way.
Gotcha. So you're in the salon, you're successful, things are moving along. When did the kind of separation come for you? Because it sounds like you talked about it earlier. When did the separation come from you being a stylist and being a businesswoman? When did you understand the difference in the two? Because most folks, students come out of school and they want to shop, but they don't understand the business side of it.
Yeah. The one thing about me, I honestly wanted to always work with someone. Okay. I didn't want to own a salon at first.
Gotcha.
Because I really wanted, there were some really high-end salons that I really wanted to work at, and I wanted to be part of their team. And
at the time. Right.
Yeah, but they turned me down. She was like, I just could feel like you had it in you. And it was a blessing in disguise because I ended up working at this guy's barbershop, Rodney Brinberry. He passed. Rodney Brinberry had a salon called Rain and Wrong Crenshaw, and he offered me a job there. And it's not where I wanted to go, but it was divine purpose.
Gotcha.
To go because I went there. I started learning how to cut hair. Because that was one thing I really hadn't really learned.
Gotcha.
And I learned a lot of things while I was there. It gave me the desire to push myself to go out and educate myself. So go to hair shows, take classes, learn, and I started developing my skills there. And even learned how to cut barber and cut hair. And the one thing though, that's where I had a chance of hearing about this opportunity to do hair for a play that Robert Townsend was doing for the church, West Angeles. Okay. And I heard about it in that barbershop. Right. If I wasn't there, I would have never heard of that. Right. And then that led for me working on backs. And it got me into the union because my mother used to tell me about, because we moved here from Chicago because my mother wanted to work in the industry as a hairdresser because she read about Anne Arlington, who was this hairstylist that worked on films. Okay. She worked with Richard Pryor and different people like that back in the day. Right. So that was the reason why she moved here from Chicago because that's where we were born. And so she kept saying, "You want to get in the union? You want to do this and do that?" And I was like, she kind of pushed me in that area because it's really difficult at that time to really get in. Right. And so we had been here all these many years and she hadn't gotten in. Right. It was really tight. Yes. Really tight with letting people in the business. Gotcha. And so that was an opportunity that, you know, me meeting Robert Townsend's assistant, stalking her, getting her to finally give me an opportunity to meet with Robert Townsend. And then, you know, when I got the opportunity to work on Baps, that was the first film that I worked on. I joined the union on that film because my mother had told me about it.
Yeah.
So I knew to ask for that. And so and then, you know, here we are today. That started the whole celebrity Kimble hair person.
Gotcha.
So to answer your question, so at the same year, I opened my own salon.
Okay.
And I started, because for me also, the salon that I went through, it was going through changes. It was time for me to move on. I moved on. I got an opportunity someone was selling their salon and I bought it. And, you know, so the same year I opened my own salon. And I knew that I needed to because my schedule was getting crazy. I worked long hours. I wanted to be able to be in the salon as much as I needed to be.
Gotcha.
I needed to have my own space so that I can do what I need to do.
Now, you said something interesting earlier when you were at the shop. It helped you tone up some skills. What are when you got out of school, because, you know, what were the things that you felt you needed, you weren't comfortable with, that you felt you needed to work on? And how did you go about, you know, were you honest with yourself and saying, okay, like I hear a lot of students say they're going to focus on this. Why do I have to do this if I'm never going to do it in the shop? How do you get to the point where you knew, okay, I need to work on these things, and I know I don't like doing them, but
well, early on, I wanted to learn everything. When I got out of school, I was still kind of green, you know, on a lot of stuff, because I was doing hair, but I had a passion to want to know everything.
Gotcha.
So also, I went to do different beauty colleges. I went to Universal, but I also went to Culver Beauty College.
Okay.
While I was, you know, I went to cosmetology for like 3.5 years.
Okay.
You know, while I was in school.
Because you did RP.
Yes.
Started.
RP.
Okay.
So it's a slower process.
Gotcha.
But I went to 2 different schools because I wanted to learn how to do white hair, black hair. I wanted to learn how to do all kinds of hair. So I always kind of wanted to learn as much as I possibly could. Didn't really know I was setting myself up for, you know, what I'm doing in the future now.
Gotcha.
But I started taking classes. I took one subject at a time and really learned and built those skills. Okay. So I started like with hair color, pressing properly, and so I would ask questions or take classes in those areas. Hairstyling, cutting was the longest one for me to figure out. I took so many different classes on hair cutting. Finally, when I went to do that salon, I was like, oh, they made it simple, but yet it was very efficient. I could understand it, and so then, you know, I started learning so much stuff about retail. I tried to get the owner to retail products in the salon. I was just like really trying to put my all into it because I took pride in where I worked, and I was learning so much. I wanted to share it with the owner, and share it with other people, and you know.
So where were you learning so much? I mean, you were learning from the salon that you were in?
No, I learned how to cut hair there because they were mostly barbers. I was like one of the first hairstylists there. But I learned from going to hair shows and paying for hair classes from different artists at that time.
Gotcha.
And I don't notice as much education as we used to have back in the day. We had a lot of opportunity for education, but I think it really helped me and set me up for, you know, the Kim Kimble celebrity hairstylist who ends up working with all different types of hair and working on movies where you never know if you got a guy coming in your chair or a girl or whatever. It really set me up. You know, I wanted to learn as much as I could. Now, yes, I do have my niche things that I really specialize in and that I focus on when I'm, you know, branding myself as a hairstylist or as a business person. But I'm very skilled in other areas. I can cut, I can color.
Gotcha.
You know, but weaving and extensions and wigs are like my thing. You know, but I still cut those, color them, and I can cut clients' hair. I mean, I'm really, a lot of stylists that are coming up. We've done a lot of interviews. I know this is one of the questions, but I'm going to just put it out there. And a lot of them don't really develop the skills that they need. All of them are really good at putting weaves in. They can't cut, can't color, they can't press, they can't curl, they're still giving me fish hooks. I'm like, what?
Yeah, no.
So for me, I wanted everything to be perfect. I wanted to learn each thing. I remember when I went to Dudley University and they stayed up all night teaching me how to finger wave because I didn't know how to finger. I wanted to learn how to finger wave, and I'm glad that I did because, you know,
Now it's a part of the styling tool.
Yeah, it's part of the styling. And if I do retro hair for films and things like that, the roller setting, all those foundational things that they teach you in beauty college are so helpful to you in the future, because you don't want to just limit yourself on what you can do.
Right.
You may not use it all, but learn it at your best of your ability, because you don't ever, you're going to say no to money. If someone offers you, okay, I want you to do something that's going to be $5,000 and do such and such. You can't do it, then you just cut off your money.
No, I got you. I talk to the students all the time about this, especially those kind of things. They always want to tell me that, well, if I was getting paid, it would be different. And I'm like, work ethic is a work ethic. Wanting to learn is wanting to learn.
Exactly.
If you want to learn, you'll do everything while you're here and then figure out maybe what you can throw away, but at least you got the tools at some point in time to make it happen.
Right.
And that's the challenge I see with a lot of the students. From a goal standpoint, how are your business goals different from your personal goals, or do they merge at all? Like the talents when you were starting, how did the things you wanted to learn as a stylist differ from the things you wanted to do outside of the shop?
When I first got it, it's so interesting you tell me that question, because now I'm going through a whole nother phase in my life. But when I first started, I had such a passion for hair. I wanted to learn. I was very ambitious. I wanted to build, and I always had big goals, big dreams, and didn't really focus on personal as much as I did business. Now, as I get older, I find that, wow, it would have been nice to really focus on some personal goals, because now you want them. Now that when you become successful and you kind of see where you're going in your business, you're looking at your personal, your health, your personal things, relationships, family. I have a son. I have an 18-year-old, and I would have probably did some things a little different and planned and really learned balance.
Gotcha.
Making sure that you are focused as well on your health long term. Because we as stylists, even cutting, I learned how to stand properly. I learned how to stand so you don't wear your body out. I hired assistants because I didn't want to get the carpal tunnel thing to blow dry and do certain things. I did think about that, but there's so many things you have to think about. Just in terms of hairstyling, is a very tough physical business that you have to really watch your health with what you eat. I didn't eat properly. I was working. I was just taking money. I was like, "You got money? You get yeah." But I would never say no ever, because I was counting them coins. I was like, but I wouldn't eat properly. I would eat late at night when I got home. I wouldn't eat all day. I remember one time I worked till I passed out, like 2 days in a row, and didn't. Even still, I still have some of those habits of working and taking the, you laughing, that's my agent right there. Hi, Ronnie. He knows. I just went through a whole 4 to 5 days of no sleep, working all night, all day. And but I learned it, I felt like crap, but what I did do, I went and got a massage when I had a moment. Learning how to really mentally, also spiritually. I was, when I first started doing hair and I got successful, I was very into church and very spiritual. And, through that, I feel like God blessed me and really built my business and my brand, and I started doing well. And I was so busy that I wasn't able to really keep my spiritual
side up,
because I believe that you have
to work all night Saturday, you can't go to church on Sunday.
So no, it's not even that. It's like I'd be traveling, I'd be out of the country,
and
I wouldn't be at my church. But now with the internet, you have so many ways to get, to connect. So that is different now. And so now, but I find that, I need to physically take care of myself. I need to eat properly. I need to get the proper sleep. I need to learn how to say no, and know when enough is enough. And balance your books so you don't have to spend, you get to making money, you start creating, more expenses. I can spend more instead of, save it for a rainy day. As my grandma says, put your money away for a rainy day so you don't have to kill yourself working. And then making sure you can spiritually feed yourself mentally. And that's my only thing. My goals now are to find more balance. Yes, I still have goals of being a success. I always have goals and projects of things that I want to do, but I do have to find, and now I have to kind of not in a rush to do them all right now.
Gotcha.
Let me space them out. Let me find time for me. Let me get myself spiritually connected so that I'm continuously, because to deal with, of course, the higher you go, the tougher it is. So you are going to be happy to have that foundation of health and spiritual.
Gotcha. When did you, kind of thinking back, when did you realize you needed a team? I mean, how long did you carry the ball yourself and no, I'm not paying for this, I'm not doing that, and realizing I need to hand off some stuff so I can just focus on doing?
Oh my God. Yeah. I probably want to say about 7 to, really, I want to say, no, actually longer than that. It took me about, I would say, 7 years into the business before I really, for the first 7, of course, I had an agent. I always had an agent. Once I started doing more, freelance and celebrity work, I had an agent to book me for that stuff.
Gotcha.
I hired a publicist.
Okay.
And through classes, and I learned that you need, as a business owner, you need a team. You need a great business. That's what we were meeting with earlier this morning. So I have an accountant, which is important because you got to be able to make sure. I had it early.
Okay.
I can't say I had the best,
but
but
least you
I'm
knew you
still developing the
Gotcha.
team. I mean, of course, there's different levels to it too.
Right.
As just a stylist, you need certain things. But I learned not having a good accountant will screw you up with taxes.
Right.
Because as hairstylists, we're mostly independent contractors. We don't always work for people. But I was an independent contractor for years. I always had to have my own,
You gotta
have the right insurances. You have to have the right tax information. Attorney, as I started developing businesses, then you have a really good attorney, so that you can make sure you're compliant and you're legally doing things properly, or you have somewhere to protect yourself. But you got to do it at different levels. Everybody can't afford to have the best lawyer, but as you start getting your business together, you need to make sure you have these things in place because they all help each other. And I also have a business management team to also help me manage some of this
stuff, the day-to-day.
Yeah, so I learned early on, but it's different levels to it. So at that level, it was one way. When you ask, much is given, much is required.
Right.
Always remember that.
Yeah.
It is to be true. I've never seen it not to be true. So, of course, the bigger you are, the more advanced your business becomes, the more protection you need. But you have to be smart about it. You don't need to go out and spend a ton of money on people, but you got to find, good people at good prices. And sometimes it takes you a minute to find the right team.
Right. Gotcha. Okay. Last 2 questions. What was your biggest regret? What do you feel your biggest regret or missed opportunity was?
My biggest regret and missed opportunity. Well, as a business person, a couple things.
He's over there I know.
What, Robert?
Prince.
Prince. Oh, not being able to do prints? Oh, yeah.
That's Kim. But that's another
Kim. Yeah, it's another Kim. No, I did have an opportunity to do prints once. So he was on my bucket list of people. Okay. I just had to do him one time. I know it's Kim, but I just want to do it once.
Gotcha.
And they called me one time for him, and I was in Atlanta. I wasn't in LA. Couldn't get back here fast enough to do it. So, and I didn't get to do Michael, and now it's too late. Those are people that, on my bucket list.
Okay.
I mean, I did get to do a couple. I got to work with Oprah. That was a bucket list person.
Oh.
Yeah, Michelle Obama, she's still living. It could be a chance.
Gotcha.
There's just a few bucket list people, and those are it. And, that's that. And then also, too, just as, again, we're talking about learning more about balance, personal, and maybe doing things slightly different in business, making, there's always in business you want to make certain choices, but they're all learning.
Yeah.
I mean, we've all made mistakes. I've made a ton of mistakes.
But you learn from them.
But you learn from them. And that is what's the most valuable. And it's really about the journey of getting there.
Gotcha.
So I don't have regrets there. Yeah, there's some things I probably would have done different, or I would have listened to maybe my big sister. Sometimes she has some good advice to listen to. Or my mother, or my grandmother. But, the one thing is that you help other people. And young people definitely listen to your elders or mentors or whoever. They tell you something, they've been through it. they're usually right. So you want to listen to them.
Gotcha. And lastly, if you're at a whole nother level with it, if you could do anything differently, what would you do?
When it comes to my career, though, I think I've been ultimately blessed. I've done in that aspect as a hairstylist. I mean, I don't think I could have done anything different. In terms of that, I think I've done some great. I just keep getting, somehow God keeps blessing me with great opportunities.
Gotcha.
And one thing I'm grateful. I am humble about it, and I also feel like what's yours is yours, and with the path that God gave you, He gave you that for a reason. So you just follow it, and I feel like He's given me some of the most amazing path as a hairstylist.
Gotcha.
But also at the end of it, I'm learning. There's always a bigger purpose, even. And even through what I do, there's a bigger purpose, and that is, what keeps me going.
Gotcha.
Yes.
All right, great. Thank you.
All right,
I appreciate the time.
All right, no problem.
You got it.
Keep up the good work.
I am trying to get these hard hits, out there.